I had to change my setup. Please confirm that you can. Thank you, Akanji, for the feedback. Please confirm that you can see me. So, backstory. So, let me start again since there was no audio. Nigeria raises capital gains tax on foreign investors from 10% to 30%. Now, what's the backstory? If you don't know, foreign investors have been major players in our stock market. What that means is that if you buy a stock, you're not the only one owning that stock, if you get what I mean. As you, a local, is buying the stock, offshore investors are also buying that stock. And what that means in actual fact is that if, for example, there's 100 units of that stock, right? And you own five, Nigerians own 50, for example, and the balance of the 50 was owned by foreign investors. If foreign investors needed to leave the country, right? Um, the stock market would be impacted. So you see all those UUs in the stock market, it was partially impacted by offshore investors in the past. And I put it clearly that it was in the past. Why do I say that? Because cue in um, cue in the lockdown, cue in the pandemic, cue in global economic issues, what we found is offshore investors. Okay, now hear me. Thank you so much. So, oh, cue in pandemic, all those issues since 2020. Offshore investors have not been a major part of our stock market in particular. Why? Because the stock market is like a long-term thing. And so for you to be in the stock market, you need to really believe in that economy. And so when the Nigerian economy was really shaky, FX issues, offshore investors just stayed away. And so if you remember seeing the news where the central bank is saying, okay, offshore investors can leave, they'll make provision for them. Remember, it was majorly for fixed income because that's where the central bank has cover. But for the stocks, it was left to the wind, right? Good morning, E. Nice to see you. It was left to the wind. Whatever wants to happen should happen. Now, what is happening right now? The economy, as much as we do not feel it in our pockets necessarily, and I can speak to that, the economy is actually stabilizing and I dare say improving. But that improving is subjective because it's only really improving when you can feel it in your pocket. But stabilizing, I can tell that we can all see from FX prices being a little moderate, for the mere fact that prices of goods and services or food, for example, is not skyrocketing like it used to. So the economy is stabilizing, right? And so the Nigerian government is saying, okay, offshore investors have started coming in, especially on the fixed income side. However, we have this new tax law, this new tax law of life. That if you are a Nigerian, okay, if you are a Nigerian in Nigeria, you need to pay attention to. We have this new tax law that is coming up that is basically saying that, see, all this nice, not paying attention, not getting our taxes, we are going to recalibrate on it. So, part of the changes in this new tax law is that foreign investors are going to be paying capital gains tax of 30% as against 10% on equity investments. Now, what does that mean? First of all, what's capital gains tax? What is capital gains? Capital gains is I buy MTN at 100 naira, I sell it at 200 naira, I have 100 naira profit. That's your cap. That's what is called capital gains. So, capital gains tax is the tax on that 100 naira profit that you made. And basically, the government is saying that instead of charging you on your 100 naira, instead of charging you 10 naira, we're going to be charging you 30 naira right now. Now, think about it broadly. In a country that is trying to attract investors, country that is trying to stabilize their FX, blah blah blah, you would think, why on the earth would they do that? Shouldn't you be trying to make yourself attractive, especially when like maybe Kenya is between 15 and 20, but most countries are between 15 and 20. So at the minimum, why aren't you in that range, right? But everybody is doing make their country great. If you haven't noticed, notice now. And everybody seems to be damning consequences in this season, right? And so Nigeria is also on that P. If you get what I mean. Whether it will work, whether it doesn't work, let's see. However, what they are saying is this: if you want to come into the stock market, don't come in and just jump out and think it won't cost you, right? There's an incentive that if you stay, even if you sell, even if you buy MTN at 100 and sell at 200, but you now invest it in Aradel, you won't pay the capital gain tax of that 100. So what they are saying in essence is that they are trying to hook these guys from moving from being hot money to cool money. Hot money means that anything happens around the world, they can just jump in and quickly exit Nigeria. But now they are saying, no, if you want to come in, think well before you come in. Because if you just want to come in and go, then your returns, of course, you'll be thinking that, am I going to make enough for this 30% charge to be worth it? If not, I won't come. So that may not help us when we speak to our exchange rates. But on the other hand, they're saying that, see, if you come and you stay and you keep the money in the system long enough, right, you won't have to pay those taxes. On one side, it actually is a good one because we are beginning to own ourselves and own our markets and believe that if we have something, if people believe we have value, they would come, right? That's on one side. But on the other side, it's a gamble because the fact is, if there is a global economic situation, whether you're going to charge them or whatever, they would still leave. So why don't you incentivize them as much as possible to come? But from the government side of things, it's interesting to say that it's a win-win. If you come in, right, and you stay, then FX is stable. If you come in and you leave, we will get 30% instead of 10. So from that angle, you can see how there's also a make Nigeria great part of this conversation, which it's a gamble. If it works out for us or if it attracts them, we don't know. But I think our job is to make our stock market attractive with good companies, supporting those. They overlook capital gains, whatever, and still feel like I want to be a part of this pie, if you get what I mean. If the companies are growing and growing astronomically, then they will overlook 30% and still jump in, if you get what I mean. Right. So that's what I think. So I mean it's one of those things that we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. It's effective January 2026 as with the whole law. And so I think that for us, it's for you as an individual, first of all, right? Understand that you the capital tax, the new tax law is going to impact everyone. So you need to know how it's going to impact you as an individual who is earning in Nigeria. That's one. Number two, also, you also need to be aware that if these guys decide to leave, there might be a runoff. They're not that much in in the stock market, to be honest, compared to before. Our pension funds are taking over, if you get what I mean. They have taken over, actually, not just have taken over our stock market to a very large extent. So I think that we'll just have to see how this pans out. But it's not so bad the way, like you see in the news, and people are shouting. It's not that bad. It's somewhat of a dicey win-win for the Nigerian government. Now, moving on. Sorry, I forgot. I said at the beginning when my sound wasn't good that this is mobile edition. I'm on the move. Bear with me. I hope the internet is working well and all that. So the next news is the global news that Netflix is letting users play games on their TV screens. Now, you might wonder why. And I thought for us as individuals, and then also for us as what's the word? For us as individuals, users, and then also as investors to understand the game and to decide where you want to play. The first thing they are trying to do is to create an ecosystem where people stay on their platform. Why? Because apart from subscriptions, they also want to get into the ad game. Now, the only benefit of ad is when there is traffic, when there are people there. So the more people there are, then the more likely that people would come to give them will come to say they are doing ads on their platform. Do you get? That's basically the way it works. So for you as an investor, it's a if you are a Netflix investor, it's something to look out for because it could work. But on the other hand, as an individual, please, they're trying to take your time, guys. They're trying to distract your life. Be guided. Be very guided about it. Be very, very guided, right? Because it's just a reality. What they are trying to do is suck you in as much as possible. They are partnering with the games that we already know. They are trying to make it a family thing. So they are going to hook you into it, right? So be guided. But from a stock investor perspective, let's see how it works. So if it works, and then there's now that vibe of okay, I'm on Netflix, I'm playing games with my family, I'm watching a movie, I'm doing all that, and I'm staying there and I'm seeing ads there's money to be made. Let's see how that pans out. Um, okay, I see some other people saying hi. Let me just pop them up before I continue. Chat, chat, chat. Hi, James. Hi, Ila. Hi, Akonji. Thank you. Hi, Hillary. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So let me move on to the last news, Africa news. I'm so grateful that the internet is really supporting my ministry today. Africa news. Kenya to launch coffee auction platform, an online coffee auction platform. Now, if you've ever been to Kenya, if you have friends that have been to Nairobi and all that, you know that their coffee is very famous. Like that's what they will package as a gift, like something special from a Kenyan national, right? So they're saying here they're going to launch an online coffee auction platform. And what's the idea, right? I mean, one of the things that we have struggled with as a continent is transparency. Everybody, nobody really knows the proper price of anything. Everything is negotiable. Like you literally have people say that when you go to the market, whatever price they give you, cut it into two and start from there. And then sometimes it works. And you're wondering, like, why is it so? Why do you have to do brain work at every step of the way? It's because there's no standardization, right? It's because there's no standardization. And what they are trying to say here is that, okay, you're an offshore investor, you're an offshore buyer, rather, not an investor. You're an offshore buyer, be able to see what's happening and know whether your pricing is good. That's one. For the farmers, also be able to see what's happening and know that your price is market and everybody is happy. I think it is a good one. I think it's development. And I think this is the kind of development that we are looking for in Africa. It might seem small, but what it does is that for you as an investor, a potential investor, you can actually consider buying. You can now, from where you are, consider becoming a buyer of Kenyan what's it called, of Kenyan coffee, even from Nigeria, and be an importer, if you get what I mean. This is why I'm highlighting it. So they made it more transparent where they don't have to say, oh, it's a Nigerian, we can tell, so let's give you a different price. No, everybody can see. One other thing I forgot to mention is that even for the farmers, right? For the farmers, um, even in Nigeria it happens. If you've ever been involved in ginger exports, like I've done, I've seen that happen. I've been through that whole process. You know that the farmers are the most disadvantaged. Why? Because they are blind, they are clueless. They don't know that this ginger that they are producing is going to Europe and they are getting peanuts. So I think that's one thing. They're also empowering the farmers with this thing, which is really fantastic, and I'm really happy about that. Right? But long and short, for you, if it's something that you think you would want to go into, then there's an opportunity here. Once the platform is launched, it's just for you to plug into it and see how you can begin to buy or sell from wherever you, or even trade. There's a trading opportunity in this thing, meaning I contact a buyer in Europe and I plug into this platform and I'm able to route and get it shipped across. There's opportunity there. There actually is opportunity there. So thank you guys so much for staying with me. I see a lot of people online and all. Thank you guys for staying with me on this our mobile edition this week. I hope the quality is good, but yeah, we'll leave with it and but yeah, thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of the week. I put up the barcode for our parents webinar. It's a free tool. You can scan the barcode if you're a parent of a young adult between 16 and 21 years. Then check it out. It's actually quite valuable for parents, and we've gotten good feedback on it. It's a free tool. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on social media. These are our handles on social media. We are going to do like a proper rebranding in November, so look out for it. Watch out for us and all that. Yeah. So see you next week. Bye.